Well, it's such an important time to get this information out because right now children are not seeing their normal adult supports. They are at home. There's no, they're maybe seeing a teacher virtually. They're not going to sports. They're not going to dance. They're not playing at friends' houses as much. So as business owners and as the public at large, it's now our responsibility to make sure these children are safe. In the state of Indiana, it's actually against the law to not report child abuse or neglect, and you can be charged with a B misdemeanor if it's found out that you don't report something. And my philosophy, along with the philosophy of my Department of Child Service cohorts, is that give them the chance to decide if it's abuse or not. If you think it is, you call. That's what they have highly trained people to do, is to figure out if it is abuse. But right now, with our kids not seeing their teachers or anyone, there's no one, that safety factor is gone. We are still getting new cases, but the ones we're getting are the abuse is just really bad. And so we know there's more out there. I just don't think a lot of people are aware of what we need to do and even what to look for. Right now, these kids with no school, many of them are receiving limited food. A lot of children receive their mental health services through the school corporations. So that is off the table now. They're trusted adults. Not only that, but they're also spending a lot more time online. And when they're online, if we're not right there with them or being very careful, they can get into situations even through games where people are grooming them for sexual behaviors, things that they really shouldn't be worrying about as children. And we just, as adults in their lives, need to be very conscious of this. I think one of the biggest stress factors I've had from just my friends and family is all of a sudden they're teachers. The parents are teachers, and it's stressful. There's a reason why I didn't homeschool. I could never teach my own kids. It's a new game for parents to have to sit there and do this work with them. And not only that, when you look at some of the clientele where we're seeing the abuse and neglect, a lot of times the schoolwork is things that the parents themselves don't understand. They're scared to reach out to teachers, even virtually, because they had a bad school experience themselves. Like I said, you must report. There's a 1-800 number, and it's 1-800-800-5556. I have given Zionsville Chamber several handouts that they're going to put on their website and Facebook page. I will also put them on the Prevent Child Abuse and the CASA page, so that, and I think they said they would probably put them on their regular website so that you can see these things. There's a really good handout from Prevent Child Abuse of Indiana, the organization, that kind of walks you through what to report, who to report to, where to report. It's important to know that reports are anonymous. The family is not going to find out that you called. That I sit on a team with several people in here, in the room today, that we're on a team where we see reports once a month, and we don't even know who made the phone call. Literally, DCS is the only one that knows. And the reason it's important to give that information to the 1-800 number is if they have further questions, they can give you a call back and say, hey, we've been to this house. Can you give us a little bit more background or something in case they have more questions? If it's an if you said you can do it and not give your name, that kind of cuts off that extra layer of protection. You are immune from liability if you make the call, and like I said, they are confidential. If you are suspicious of child abuse and neglect, you make the phone call. It takes about 5 minutes to make the call. They will ask you, your name, the family's name. They've got some Yes, Cassie, you can. They have trained people that answer the calls, that take all of the information down, and they have a series of questions, and it's scored somewhat like a rubric for kids at school, and then that it's sent on to the local offices. But Cassie had something she wanted to add.
Just quickly, it's something that came up this morning. We had a pretty rough case last night. That I have sent a letter to our prosecutor, who's going to send a letter to IPAC as well. When you dial into the 1-800 number, there is a pre-recorded message about, well, dial 1 for English, things like that. But one of the things it does say is if you are reporting and found to be lying, you could be held accountable, you could serve jail time, you could have these huge fines. I think right now is not the time for that to be on the hotline recording. I think right now is the time, is even if you think it's happening, call it in. We're not going to go out and prosecute anybody for fraudulently making accusations right now, so, especially during this pandemic, because we want to, if you see something, say something. Last night's case was a prime example of that. It had been reported several times, but again, I think people are scared to call. When they call, they hear that right off the bat. So I'm hoping that IPAC can get that changed quickly, and get that off of that recording. So
there are certain things to look for when you're dealing with abuse and neglect. Some of the warning signs that you might see in a child in your neighborhood, going to the grocery, at Walmart, frequent unexplained bruises or injuries. Do they act really nervous around you? Conversely, they can also always want to be right on top of you because you are that trusted adult, and they want to be able to absorb you, basically. They want everything you can give them. They can be aggressive towards other children, towards other adults, because that's what they've seen. If you see a sudden and dramatic change in a choice of activities, I mean, if you have a child that has always like loved to run around outside and play, and all of a sudden is scared to, doesn't want to, go somewhere, do something, they have an inability to stay awake because they're scared at night, and they'll stay awake all night just to avoid being abused. Many of them have low self-esteem. Very poor hygiene is something we see. The other thing we see, especially in times like this, is these kids a lot of times want so much food. They just can't get full because there's a lot of times no food at home. They're not getting as much from school right now. And that was, with teachers, that's one of the first things they look for, is when they have the kids that come in and take the entire free breakfast and then eat their neighbor's breakfast, and then they go to lunch, and at Lebanon they have a fruit and vegetable bar, and these kids will, I had one little boy that would go and just take containers of raspberries, and he didn't care. He's like, I don't even like them, but he was hungry and he needed food, and he had been being neglected with low food. So those are just some basic things to look for. And the reason we need to remember this, like I said, schools are closed, like no libraries to look at. Bars and restaurants are closed. There's a 74% of perpetrators are at the highest risk for abusing alcohol. And/or they have mental illness. So now they're not drinking in the bars, they're drinking in their homes, doing drugs in their homes versus, being outside or going to a friend's house. We obviously all know that most of our families have some very limited resources right now. Our community is doing some amazing work to help feed all these families. The Boys and Girls Club in Lebanon serves 5 hot meals a week. They've served over 4,000. I know that was a week ago at least. So there are some real food insecurity needs in our community, which have been there, but I think this has just kind of brought it forward. We're in self-quarantine. These kids are not even sometimes given a chance, and or maybe another adult. If there's domestic violence in the home right now, with everyone being home together, it's a very easy way for the abuser to continue to control the partner. And the partner does not have a chance to escape. The kids don't have a chance to escape, to run out and say, hey, can you call the police? And believe it or not, we have kids that will go to the police station and say, hey, I need help. And so don't be surprised if it, as this continues on, if a child walks up to you and says, hey, I need help, we're going to have to take a minute and talk to them. They need us desperately right now. We've got the services to put in place for these families. We can help them through these times. Our goal is to keep these families together if it's safe and for the children to be in that environment. There's just so much of everyone's routine right now is off, and these kids just thrive on routine, and we really just need to be aware of that. I've known some of my friends that have put out snacks like at the end of their porch or something, and neighbor kids will come by and grab snacks as they go through the day. I've had other people leaving out activities so that the kids can take stuff home, be it sidewalk chalk, coloring books, that type of thing. But they don't have those resources in their homes. And so it's really important to make sure that we cover these needs that they're not getting by not going to school right now. There is a really good webinar that I will be sending the information to Zionsville, and I have it on Facebook, on the power of prevention and how important it is for us to make sure that these children are safe, and the steps we can take to prevent child abuse, on April 27th at noon, and it's being given by Prevent Child Abuse Indiana. I've talked to Cassie, and she's preparing to, she's with Sylvia's Child Advocacy Center, which is where our children will go for forensic interviews if the abuse or neglect, it needs to be, the kids need someone to talk to. We need to get some more facts from the children. She's getting ready to present an online version of Stewards of Children, which helps you learn to identify, see what's going on, the things you can say, how to best be there for one of these children in this situation. I did talk to our local DCS office. They said their calls, the number of calls it's gone drastically down. Normally we have probably 100 plus calls a month, and I think they said they're maybe getting 10 a week. So no one's checking on these kids. They stated that Moo Harding is the local office director. I have her phone number as well. She said, if someone has questions, they are welcome to directly call her office if that's what it takes. If you're not comfortable calling the 1-800 number, you can call her office and she will speak to you and see how she can help. And her phone number is 765-482-3023. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Becky, this is Allison.
Hey.
I know that there are so few people interacting with these kids right now. And probably if someone goes to pick up carry out, that might be the only interaction that someone has with some of these kids. What do people look for?
Like I said, are the children sitting in the back seat of the car? Are they withdrawn? Are they completely silent? Kids are very rarely quiet in the car. Are they trying to get out of the car? Sometimes it's like they see this as their chance to escape and they're trying to get out. If I'm an adult in that situation and I see a child that's very uncomfortable, I may try to even open up a conversation with the parents. Say, hey, everybody looks a little stressed. Can I help? Is there something else you guys need that, can I point you to some other resources? Boone County is amazing. The other thing Prevent Child Abuse and Sylvia's has done is we had cards made up that have the phone numbers for the mental health providers in Boone County, for DCS. And these cards are going out with the school lunches. They're going out, I think maybe even at the Boys and Girls Club when the parents pick up meals, at Shalom House, so that they have access to these vital phone numbers. If you're stressed, call Inwell, call Cummins, call Aspire. Let's get you in some services. They're all set up to do that kind of thing right now. Call Mental Health America. You know, if you're having domestic abuse, you know, call their hotline, get help. I know several people have set up code words even. So if somebody, this is going to seem really odd, but if someone's like standing there and they ask you where you got your dress and you're standing there in jeans, that's usually a code for, hey, I need help. So because I'm asking this odd thing, but it doesn't seem odd maybe to the person who's in the car with me. So you have to be very open-minded when you're in public, and you start watching for these things. You see them. You see the kids that, you know, have weird bruises on their face. I mean, kids shouldn't have bruises on their ears. They shouldn't have bruises around their eyes. Their noses shouldn't be bloody, you know. That
Keep watching those things, because that's what's helping in terms of our investigations get the kids in the door, because our stuff is really low too, and it's very scary for it to be so low, because we know it's happening. It's just hidden now. So anything, if you see anything, just say something.
next week we will hopefully be starting. We had 250 yard signs made. So if you are interested for your business, your church, your home, what they say is they have the Prevent Child Abuse pinwheel logo on it, and then they say suspect child abuse / neglect, call, and the 1-800 number in huge font, so that we can get these out around the county so that people know what the number is. I think if we get the number out there, we're going to see calls starting to be made again.
And if you have some of those signs and cards, I'll try to help distribute them down here in Zionsville.
Perfect. I have several of my volunteers that are offering to take them out and about. So the thing we thought about when we did this is it's a really good COVID activity, because it really doesn't involve any face-to-face contact. Somebody just shows up and puts a sign in your yard and we leave. So we want to get them out in some high traffic areas and get the information out there. And if we need to order more, we'll order more.
Sorry, trouble with the unmute button. Hi. I have a question for Becky. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
You gave the 800 number out. Are you getting referrals from 211? I mean, does that work well, or does it work better if you use the direct 800 number?
The 800 direct number works better, because that's straight to DCS. So they have trained family case managers that answer those phone calls, that know what to ask to get the information to get it to the local office quicker.
Okay, because the 211 number is supposed to connect them directly. So I'm just asking for my own information, kind of filing away. Are you saying that
always
not
encourage
working as good as it should?
I don't believe it does. I don't think it's a direct link. I think you still have to go through the 211 and then they connect you to DCS.
Okay. Okay. I have one other comment to Cassie. For Cassie.
Yes.
Yes.
You had raised the question about IPAC and the disclaimer.
Yeah.
That was on the when you call up, that there's a disclaimer. Would you call me? Like, let's get together afterwards, and I'm willing to call IPAC up and talk to them about that.
Okay. Yeah, that Kent Eastwood, our prosecutor, is who I talked to, and he said he was going to go ahead and give them a call too to see if they can get with DCS about removing that for right now.
Becky?
I want to thank everybody. Yes, Krista?
Hi. So my question is, I do feel like it is hard since we are quarantined. I'm barely out. So the only places I would ever see anybody would be at Walmart or a Kroger. Like our neighborhood, I feel like everybody is staying in. I haven't heard of anybody with suspected, like, thinking that maybe a child's getting abused. So is there anything we can do besides what we already kind of know to do? You mentioned like leaving chalk out for kids, like at the end, like at a sidewalk. Are there places that we can go around town and deliver stuff? What do you think?
You could always, I'm sure, take stuff and leave it at the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
The Caring Center is dropping stuff off at places. Freedom Church is still doing their Serve Saturday and distributing stuff to neighborhoods.
Okay.
And another thing you can do as a parent is talk to your kids. They might know something about a friend. Maybe a friend has said something to them and they don't know how to approach you about it. So if you notice something like kind of off about one of your, when you bring up a friend or something, if it's a friend you might even have suspicions of, and you say something to your child and they just kind of back off of it, maybe there's something you really need to talk to them about.
Mm-hmm.
Because kids will share this with friends.
Right.
And you can always drop stuff at my house. I'll distribute whatever.
Yeah. Well, I know that they leave, everything's private, and teachers know a lot of suspected people, families that might have abuse in them, but they can't share that with everybody else. So
No.
I know in my
if
field.
you're at Kroger and you see,
Mm-hmm.
right, go ahead.
In my field, we're supposed to report it too, being in the dental field. So we
Everyone
absolutely
is.
Right. And it's hard though. I mean, it's hard to even tell, because being in a dental office, people don't half the time want to come anyways. They're scared to be there. So it's hard to know, is it something that's going on just because they're coming here, or is there more going on at home? I mean, obvious bruising. Yeah, we do look for that, but it's tricky. It's definitely tricky.
It's tricky, but I would rather make the mistake of calling and it being nothing.
Oh yeah.
Than not calling.
Yeah.
So if you're at some place like Kroger or Walmart and you see something happening and you maybe don't know the people, so you don't know how to call, go to the front, find a manager, find someone that works there that can intervene at least, and possibly, if they need to call the police, they can call the police.
Yeah.
And then they can make the report.
Hey, Becky, this is Allison again. I would think, and of course this isn't my field, I would think that if children are being abused, there are also going to be cases of women being abused as well in the home.
Yes.
I would think that if there's something that we can even put on our own personal social media pages that can be distributed, that people can even reach out to us and say, if you don't feel like you can make this call yourself, is there someone that can make that call for you? Is there something out there that we can share personally?
I've seen a lot of people sharing the thing. There's something, and I'll find it and send it to you, but it says, if you're in a situation that you're not comfortable with, send me a message, ask me about my red dress, ask me about my, something very strange and off. It's like a code word that you have sometimes with your children that have to come home after school and you're not there. If you get home and there's something off, tell me, hey, I need to bake a cake. Well, if my kids had ever told me they needed to bake a cake, I'd instantly have known something was wrong, because one, they didn't cook, and two, we probably wouldn't have had anything to bake a cake. But we had set that up that, if you call mom and say, I need to bake a cake, mom's calling 911. So you can put that out there. I've put on mine, to the point where if you know me and you need food, I'll drop it off. Just let me know. I mean, it's just kind of our human responsibility right now to help take care of everyone.
You bet. And anything that we can do, please let us know. That's why I thought, even if we can share things on, our work page, but also personally, anything that's great information that can lead them directly back to where they can find resources, I think will be extremely helpful. And this has been a wonderful webinar. Thank you for all the participation today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or that you think that we can do in order to help share this message?
Follow Sylvia's Advocacy Center on Facebook, Prevent Child Abuse, Boone County CASA, the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's office. We all share things that are easily shareable, like the one just the other day about under 4, and it lists 3 things, and it takes you 2 seconds to share a little infographic, and then it's just reaching everyone else. So people will start hopefully calling soon. It's very scary that these calls are not getting made right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my last thought was, we've always also relied on the hospital to be able to make these reports. But with COVID, parents are truly avoiding the hospital. And so maybe if this child is injured, they're not really going to see a doctor or maybe an emergency room visit rapidly, where they would then, you know, call the 1-800 number. And I think that's why when you see a child that might be injured, it's okay to ask. It's okay to, you know, say, hey, can I just help you? Can, you know, maybe the parent just, you know, needs someone to talk to. It's stressful being a mom and dad right now. I mean, I'm glad mine are adults. It would be rough. I couldn't homeschool. Nope. But we're all here, and it takes a phone call. We've just got to support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other questions out there? It looks like Cassie's wanting to share something.
Okay, yeah, there. These are the cards that'll go out in their food. So that's the front. And then that's, can you see it very well?
Yep.
The back.
Yeah.
With all the numbers, but they're just little business cards. They could slip them in wallets, whatever, but they're going to go out with their food at all those places that Becky mentioned. So,
well, thank you all for participating today. We certainly appreciate you joining us. Unfortunately, this is a circumstance that we hope that we all never, ever have to encounter. But if we all have our eyes and ears open, maybe we can help some folks out during this really tough time. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, we'll have those resources up on our business assistance page on our Zionsville Chamber of Commerce website, which is just zionsvillechamber.org. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Be well.
Thank you.
You too.